Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 15 favourite movies from the year 2005. If I'm honest, looking over this year, this was really hard to compile 15, not because there were so many, but because there were just so few. In my opinion, this is my least favourite year of the 2000s so far. But I managed to find 15. Yeah, these are just the best of the bunch for me. And yeah, as always, this is just my personal favourite list. Your list is going to be different. These all have 2005 against their name and are in accordance with IMDb. And yeah, as always, guys, as well, I'm going to leave a full list down below of honourable mentions that didn't make the list for me. But yeah, that being said, going to kick it off with number 15. So coming in at number 15 for me is the first of two Wes Craven movies, and the first one is Cursed. Yeah, this was like Wes Craven's attempt at a werewolf movie, and I know that this movie went through absolute production hell. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong with this film, and yeah, it was, I believe it just turned out to be an absolute disaster. The quality of the film itself is, of course, not the best. But for me, I have to be honest, I was entertained by this bad movie and I enjoyed it. I got a real amount of enjoyment from it, despite all of its flaws. I know this is not a good film, but like I said, something about it I gelled with, something I connected with and enjoyed. Yeah, that's why it makes the list. It just gets in there just because of I was entertained. But yeah, not a good movie, not a great movie, definitely flawed. But yeah, there was something that I got out of this film and I can't really explain why. But yeah, it comes in at number 15 for me. So yeah, that is Cursed. So coming up next at number 14, we have A 40-Year-Old Virgin starring Steve Carell. Yeah, remember when this movie came out and I watched it fairly close to the DVD release. And yeah, it was just a real funny movie. It was it kick-started those group of comedians that we see together, like the likes of Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen, Steve Carell. And yeah, it's just the story about this guy who is a 40-year-old virgin. That's the premise. That's the plot of the movie. And yeah, it's just a fun comedy, really little fun, awkward comedy. That I enjoy watching from time to time, and yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. It might be due a rewatch, but yeah, remember liking it, and it just comes in at 14 for me. So yeah, that is number 14, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. So coming up next at number 13, we have the second Wes Craven movie to come out in 2005, and that is Red Eye. This is also the first of two similar movies that came out. Tense, suspenseful thrillers set on a plane, but I'll get to the other one shortly. But yeah, Red Eye's pretty good. Cillian Murphy, Rachel McAdams, they end up sort of sitting together on a plane, and Rachel McAdams ends up becoming terrified of this other passenger she's sat next to, Cillian Murphy, and he's great in the role. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's terrifying, suspenseful, and it just creates for such great atmosphere. You've also got Brian Cox in the movie as well. And yeah, I just think it's a pretty underrated film from Craven. And yeah, just really enjoy it. Really little underrated thriller, this one. So yeah, that is my number 13 pick, Red Eye. So coming up next at number 12, we have Kiss Kiss Bang Bang by Shane Black. Yeah, this is a very typical Shane Black movie. It's quippy, it's quirky with its dialogue. You've also got, starring Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer. They've got great chemistry in this movie. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's entertaining. It's a good time. And yeah, it's just everything you'd expect from a Shane Black movie. I do think he has done better work with, obviously, his script for Lethal Weapon, movies like The Nice Guys as well. But yeah, this is up there for me. Really enjoy this one. Really have a good time with it. And yeah, just great chemistry between the two leads. And yeah, just really enjoy it on the whole. So yeah, that is my next pick, coming in at number 12, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So just missing out on the top 10, coming in at number 11, we have V for Vendetta, starring Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. Yeah, really awesome looking movie, this one, with its designs, but I've got to admit, first time I watched it, I was not a fan of this film. I knew I was seeing something good, but it just didn't gel with me. I did not want to go back and rewatch it. Don't know why. I just didn't click with the movie, but time passed. I went back, gave it another go, and yeah, I appreciated it a hell of a lot more, and I enjoyed it a lot more too. But yeah, it's this great sort of Guy Fawkes Bonfire Night inspired dystopian-esque movie, and it looks great. It's got some great action sequences to it. It's a phenomenal looking movie, and yeah, it's just an all-round good time now, and I enjoy it a hell of a lot more for what it is. But yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I know there's a lot of people who absolutely love and adore this film, but I can't say I'm one of those people, unfortunately. But it is good. I do appreciate it a hell of a lot more now. And yeah, it comes in at number 11 for me. So yeah, that is V for Vendetta. So coming in at number 10 for me, we have Thank You for Smoking, starring Aaron Eckhart. Yeah, this is just a really, really entertaining political movie, starring Aaron Eckhart, who is kind of like a salesperson for this massive tobacco company, this cigarette company. And obviously the massive debate about the movie is, you know, smoking, should it be banned, shouldn't it be banned, how do we advertise it, do we not advertise it? And yeah, it definitely doesn't say, you know, smoking's bad. The movie's not saying that. The movie is letting you decide, and that's the most interesting thing about it. It argues both arguments, both sides of the coin get a fair shot in this film, and that's what I really appreciate about it. It's not biased. For me, I just really, really enjoy this film. Really think it's a great drama with an absolutely fantastic stacked cast as well. Too many names to mention. But yeah, really, really enjoy this one. Really entertaining film. So coming in at number 10 for me, we have Thank You for Smoking. So coming up next at number 9, we have Pretty Persuasion. This was a really, really fun movie that took me by surprise. Great high school setting. Great, fantastic drama. The movie that I can liken this to the most is probably Cruel Intentions. I enjoy that film for what it is, but this one for me was kind of like took it to the next level, and yeah, I just really had a blast with it. Great cast of characters. This schoolgirl is just absolutely manipulative in what she's doing, and yeah, it's just causes these characters to have some great tantrums and great outbursts. James Woods is fantastic in this movie as well. Really, really awesome setting. Like I said, if you like your high school movies, this is definitely one checking out from the mid-2000s. And yeah, I just absolutely have a blast with this film. Really, really enjoy it. And yeah, it's just an all-round good time. So yeah, that is number 9 for me, Pretty Persuasion. So coming up next at number 8, we have the 4th entry into the Harry Potter franchise, and it is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is my least favourite Harry Potter film. Talking about the movie negatively, it's just filler, this film for me. It is absolute filler. 80% of this movie is just unnecessary, in my opinion. Apart from the ending, I think the ending's great. It really, really does end on a strong cliffhanger. But for me, the Triwizard Tournament, the Yule Ball, all that stuff is completely pointless. It doesn't tie in at any other point in the Harry Potter story out of all 8 movies. It's just a slog to get through. But having said that, there are still some elements on the way that I do enjoy. The effects in this movie are great. The imaginative creatures, the tasks themselves are quite fun. But on the whole, there's just a lot of this movie that is a bit unnecessary for me. But I do enjoy it nonetheless. It is entertaining, but yeah, some of it is just a little bit of a slog to get through. But yeah, that is my number 8 pick, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So coming up next at number 7 is that second movie set on a plane, which is a thriller, and it is Flight Plan, starring Jodie Foster. Yeah, enjoy this one a little bit more than Red Eye. It's got a great premise to it. So Jodie Foster and her daughter are pretty much these first two passengers to get on a plane, and they both end up falling asleep. As Jodie Foster kind of wakes up, the plane started to fill up more, but the problem is her daughter's gone missing, and nobody recalls ever seeing her daughter on the plane, and it just leads to this absolutely great tale of paranoia with what's going on. There's points where people are just trying to convince her that she didn't have a daughter, she didn't come on the plane with a daughter, and we even start to question that ourselves when we're watching it. It just makes you just second guess yourself. And yeah, it's just an absolutely awesome suspenseful movie. Really, really enjoy this one. One of the rare movies as well, starring Sean Bean, where he doesn't die. And yeah, it's just an all-round great time. Really, really enjoy this one. So yeah, that is my next pick, Flight Plan. So coming in at number 6 for me, we have Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson in Wedding Crashers. Yeah, really enjoy this one. I think the two leads have great chemistry. They are legitimately funny in this movie for me. Really enjoy about these two guys who crash weddings just to hook up with women. And yeah, Owen Wilson's character crashes this particular wedding and ends up falling for Rachel McAdams. And yeah, that's the movie. It's cliched. It has that absolute cliche of the liar reveal that most movies have. You know, in terms of the main antagonist has this big secret that he's keeping from a female lead or a friend or something, and then the big reveal happens. That's all in there. It's done. It's been done to death in so many movies, but yeah, it's fun though. It really is fun. The supporting cast in this is great. Christopher Walken is great in this as well. Jane Seymour and all that stuff at the end with Will Ferrell is just an absolute blast as the funeral crasher. Yeah, just really, really enjoy this one. It does get a laugh out of me. So yeah, that is my number 6 pick, Wedding Crashers. So coming in at number 5 for me is an animated movie, and it is Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit. I absolutely loved the 4 30-minute long short movies that Aardman Animations did for the Wallace and Gromit characters. They for me are, you know, some absolute staples that I grew up with on repeat, watching those little mini movies as a kid. Yeah, staple from my childhood. And Curse of the Were-Rabbit came along. I think this came along out. This came out between the 3rd and the 4th short, but yeah, it was just an absolute blast. Really, really enjoyed it, and glad to see Wallace and Gromit in a feature-length movie. Yeah, it's just really creative, really is a lot of fun, family-friendly entertainment, and yeah, it's just an all-round joy of a movie. Really, really enjoy this one. If you've got the time, give it a go. It's entertaining to boot. Great cast of characters, great voice actors, and yeah, just an all-round blast, this one. So yeah, coming in at number 5 for me, we have Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So coming in at number 4 for me, just missing out on the podium places, is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Yep, I just have the Star Wars saga box set to show here. Yeah, it was episode 3. It was, at the time, the final Star Wars movie to come out, bridging the prequels with the original trilogy. This movie is definitely the best of the prequels for me. The first two really sort of have their issues. But this one seemed to iron everything out. It had great characters, great effects, great story behind it. This felt like a Shakespeare play in the modern day. For me, it had this real tragic element about it. And I love movies that have endings where the villain wins. And Revenge of the Sith has that in bucket loads. It's just great to see these two friends, Anakin and Obi-Wan, become enemies, and I love stories about that deal with that, kind of like X-Men First Class. But yeah, it was just a great Star Wars movie, and I just really enjoyed it to boot. But it was absolutely fantastic. It definitely still has some issues, but compared to the first two prequels, this outshines both those films, and I really enjoy it, find it really entertaining. So yeah, coming in at number 4 for me, we have Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So coming up next at number 3, taking the bronze medal for '05, is Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. Yeah, I just adored this movie. I really had some high expectations for it, and they were met. I'm happy to say. I loved Nightmare Before Christmas growing up as a kid. I just absolutely adore that movie, and it was great to see Tim Burton approach another movie with that type of style. And yeah, it's just great. It just has this really awesome, unique design look to it. About these two worlds, the land of the living and the land of the dead. And what I love about this movie is the land of the living looks completely washed out and void of all types of colour. It is grim, it is dull to look at, and yet the land of the dead is just the complete polar opposite. It's vibrant, it's colourful, it's exciting, it's a joy to look at, and the two polar opposites just blend so well in this movie. It has a great story to it as well, with a surprise villain, and yeah, the movie just has, you know, a lot of thought to it, and it needs to be commended with that credit, in my opinion. Very underrated story, in my opinion, that this movie has. And yeah, it's just another great collaboration as well between Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this film. So coming in at number 3 for me, we have Corpse Bride. So coming in at number 2, taking the silver medal, is David Cronenberg's A History of Violence, starring Viggo Mortensen. Yep, went into this movie knowing absolutely nothing about it, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It's just a story about this guy who has a hidden past, and he just wants to leave it behind him. He wants nothing to do with it and just get on with his now quiet life. And he's inevitably pulled back into his past. And that is pretty much the movie. It is an amazing performance from Viggo Mortensen. The late William Hurt is great in this movie as well. And it's a very grounded, violent movie from David Cronenberg. It's not the over-the-top, you know, body horror that we would expect from him, like Videodrome and The Fly. This is very much more grounded in reality, and it's just a fantastic movie. This is a great double feature with Eastern Promises as well. And yeah, it's just an all-round great film for me. Absolutely love it. And it comes in at number 2. So yeah, taking the silver medal for me, we have A History of Violence. So coming in at number 1 for me is Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. The first entry into his Dark Knight trilogy. I am not the biggest Christopher Nolan fan. Anyone who knows me knows that. But yeah, this was this sort of filled that void at the time, because it had been, you know, many years since the last Batman film, which was Batman and Robin. And I know fans were absolutely appalled at that movie. Critics didn't like it at all. And this movie kind of just went back to the drawing board and delivered a great Batman movie, a great Batman story. And yeah, it was just a joy to see. It had some really interesting characters, a great story. And yeah, it's just, it goes back to the Batman's origin. It deals with all of that, you know, Bruce Wayne stuff as well, that the previous movies didn't do. Bruce Wayne's backstory, his past, how he disappeared for many years from Gotham City, to do this, you know, all the training with the League of Shadows. And yeah, it really touched on that, and I just really enjoyed it. It also, you know, it didn't really have that, you know, that let's throw in a popular Batman villain in the movie. It went with, as the movie calls him, Ra's al Ghul. I'll always call him Ra's al Ghul, but Ra's al Ghul, as well. You know, Batman's probably his most powerful enemy. And yeah, it just really dealt with that. It went into that story, and I just really enjoyed it. Really had a blast with it. Cillian Murphy is great as the Scarecrow as well. And yeah, it's just a really great movie. You can tell as well that Nolan took a lot of inspiration from the animated series as well, with the Scarecrow, with some of that toxin fear elements to it. It really reminded me of the show. And yeah, I just had an all-round blast with this film. Really, really enjoy it. It's grounded, it's gritty, it's a good starting point for that trilogy in my opinion. So yeah, and it's my favourite movie of 05. So yeah, coming in at number 1, we have Batman Begins. So yeah, those are my top 15 favourite movies from the year 2005, guys. Gonna leave the video there and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.